Hello everyone. In this video, we are going to see how to set up the SonarQube server in Linux operating system. For this demo, we will use Centos 7 as the Linux operating system. In the previous video, we have seen the basic architecture of SonarQube. The architecture consists of different components. It consists of SonarQube server and the database which stores the data corresponding to quality snapshots and SonarQube configurations. It also has another component, scanner, which does the scanning part. So in this video, we are going to see how to set up this SonarQube server and how it interacts with corresponding database to store the required data. Let us start. To set up this SonarQube server, it is better to install the server part and the database part are in different machines and they should be on the same network. And the second thing is the SonarQube server and the database, both the machines are in the same time synchronization. So here I have two virtual machines. So this is the server where we will host the database and this is the web server where we will install the SonarQube server. So let us verify the IP addresses. The IP address of SonarQube server is 10.0.0.51 and the database server is 10.0.0.50. So both are on the same network. We can also verify the time synchronization. Both are having similar timestamp and both are synchronized with the NTP server. So this is the basic requirement when we try to set up this SonarQube server and the database server in two virtual machines. So to set up this SonarQube server, let us go through the installation instructions which is provided by SonarQube documentation. So this is the web page which contains the information. So before installing, let us check the requirements first. So these are all the prerequisites. So SonarQube server runs on Java. So we should be able to install Java in the virtual machine where we install SonarQube server. And also we have hardware requirements. So the SonarQube server should have minimum of 2 GB RAM. The amount of disk space depends on how much code will be analyzed. As part of the SonarQube server, we also install the Elasticsearch server. So that is the reason the hard drive should have excellent read and write performance. So we should select the disks which have more I/O performance. And SonarQube and SonarScanner supports only 64-bit systems. So for large teams and enterprise scale installations, we should have like 8 cores of CPU and also 16 GB of RAM. The supported Java version is like 11 or 17. And the databases supported are PostgreSQL, Microsoft SQL Server and Oracle. So for this demo, we are choosing PostgreSQL. And to access the SonarQube server, there are different web browser recommendations like Chrome, Microsoft Edge and so on. And also in the machine where we set up SonarQube server, we should have like number of open files and number of processes per user. So these are the limits we have to set before installing the SonarQube server. Let us set up this in the VM where we host the SonarQube server. So let me log in with root now. Here we have set the limits for the user SonarQube. So let us create the SonarQube user with which we will set up the SonarQube server part. We have created the user and let us verify the limits for that user. So this is the number of open files limit. We can also verify all the limits. So here we can see the maximum user process is 8192, which we have already set. In addition to the security limits, let us also configure other two parameters for memory mapping and file descriptors. These are the two parameters we need to set. We need to configure these two parameters inside this file. The parameters are set. Now we can verify the values of these parameters. Here we can see that the values are set correctly. We have to install JDK also as a prerequisite. Let us install JDK 17 in this machine. For that, I'll download an RPM file. This is getting downloaded from Oracle website. The RPM is downloaded. We can install it using RPM or yum commands. So I'll use the yum command here. I need to mention the path of this file. So the JDK is successfully installed. Let us verify the version of JDK or Java. Here the version is 17.0.11. We have other prerequisites like seccomp filter and all. These will be configured during the SonarQube server setup. So let us go back to the server setup. So SonarQube server needs a database. So we need to configure the database first. Let us configure the PostgreSQL database which will be used by Sonar server. So this is the DB server. Here PostgreSQL server is already installed. I'll create a new database especially for SonarQube. If you want to know how to install and configure PostgreSQL server in detail, please go through the video in the description section. But for this video, I will not be reinstalling the PostgreSQL server. We'll use the existing server and we'll create a new database to be used by Sonar server. Let us see whether the PostgreSQL server is started or not. The PostgreSQL server is started and it is up and running. Now let us connect to this PostgreSQL server using default Postgres user. We'll create a database and we'll create a user as well. So for this, let us use PSQL command. I'm using Postgres. So this is the default user and let us execute PSQL command. Now we have logged into the Postgres session. So let us create a database for SonarQube. So a new database is created. Let us also create a user. So when we create a user, it has created a new role with the same name, Sonar user. Now let us create a password for this user. So for this I am using alter command. Here I am setting up the password. So now the role is altered with the password Sonar123. We will use this database and username and password when we try to connect from Sonar server to this database. Let us quit the session. So in addition to that, we also need to configure the PostgreSQL server to accept the connections from other machines. For that, we need to add one entry in the configuration file. So here we have two configuration files. One is PostgreSQL conf and pg_sba.conf file. So we need to configure these to accept the connection from remote machines. So let us open the PostgreSQL conf. So in this file, so here the listener address is star. That means it can accept connections by providing the IP address as well. And also it is listening on the port 5432. So if we want to access from outside, we need to access via this port. And the second configuration file is pg_sba.conf. Let us open that file. In this file, we need to add an entry for SonarDB and Sonar user. Post means it will accept connection from outside, and the database is SonarDB. The user is Sonar user. So here we need to mention the network IP address range from which the connections will be accepted. So I am giving 10.0.0.16, which includes our Sonar server as the client. So for encrypted connections, I am mentioning MD5. So let us save this file. So the file is configured. Let us restart the PostgreSQL service. PostgreSQL service is restarted. So now we are ready with the database. Now let us go back to the server configurations. So this is the Sonar server and we have logged in with SonarQube user. So let us create a separate directory for storing the downloaded files. So let us log in with root user again. So here I am creating a directory. And I will provide the permissions on this directory to the SonarQube user. Now let us relog into SonarQube user. Now we need to go to the directory. Here we need to download the SonarQube zip file. So this is the link for the distribution. Here I am choosing the community edition. I'll copy this link. Now let us download. Now the distribution zip file is getting downloaded. The file is downloaded. So now we have to unzip this file. The extraction is completed. Let us go into the directory. So this is where all the server information is stored. So in this, we have the conf directory. So this is an important file, sonar.properties. This is where we will configure the information about Sonar server. Before configuring this file, let us create directories where we will store the Elasticsearch server information, etc. So for that, again I logged with root user. So I am creating two directories. One is for data, another is for temp directories. So these directories will be configured in the sonar.properties file. So let me relog in with SonarQube user again. So let us open the sonar.properties file. So here let us start with database part. For JDBC username and JDBC password needs to be set here. So this is Sonar user which we have created, and the password is sonar123. And also we need to set the JDBC URL. So here we have PostgreSQL configuration. So let us change this. So here we need to provide the IP address of the host where we have hosted PostgreSQL database. That is 10.0.0.50. And the database name we have created is SonarDB. And we are using the default schema, so I will delete this current schema. So we'll use the default public schema. So these are the information about the Sonar database. Let us configure the parameters for storing the Elasticsearch data as well. So here I am uncommenting this. So this is where SonarQube /data and also /temp. So these are the directories we have created just now. And also we can change the web host, web port and context. So by default it is listening on port 9000. So for this demo we can keep this. So if you want to change the port we can change. And also the context also can be changed. By default it is empty. And the web host is by default it is 000. That means it can accept the connections from all the IP addresses associated with this server. Let us keep these as defaults and save this file. So the configuration is saved. So we have done the required configuration. Now let us go to the bin directory and start the SonarQube server. Here we need to go to Linux directory. Here we have a shell script called sonar.sh. This shell script needs to be executed for starting or stopping the Sonar server. For starting, we need to send start as a parameter. Now the SonarQube is started. Let us verify whether a new Java process is created for this SonarQube server. Here we see that there is no process created. That means there is some problem in starting the server. Let us verify the log file. So this is the logs directory. So here we can see there is a nohub.log. So we can verify this. So here it is saying there is some permission issue with this directory. We have created these directories by root user, but we did not assign proper permission for this directory. So let us assign the permissions to SonarQube user. So now I am with root user. Let me provide full permission. Let me change the ownership of the directory to SonarQube user. So the ownership is changed now to SonarQube. That means the SonarQube can write the temp files etc. in this directory. Let us relog in with SonarQube and start the server again. So it is saying the SonarQube server is started again. Let us verify whether a new process is created. This time we can see some processes are created corresponding to SonarQube. We can verify the log as well. Here we can see multiple logs: sonar.log, nohub.log and es.log. Let us verify the nohub.log file first. Here we can see there are no issues. Let us verify the sonar.log file. So it says that it is waiting for Elasticsearch to be up and running and process is up. Here also we do not see any issues. And let us check es.log also, which is corresponding to Elasticsearch. So here also we do not see any issues. That means our server is up and running. Now let us try to access the Sonar web server using the browser. By default the server listens on 9000 port. So let us try to access that. Here we can see that the SonarQube server page is loading and it is saying the SonarQube is starting. While the server is starting, we can verify the web.log file also if any errors. Here it shows the progress of server startup. So after taking few minutes, we have got the login page. Let us enter the default credentials, admin and admin. So for the first time we need to change the password. Let us update the password. Here all the features of SonarQube can be seen, like projects, issues, rules, quality profiles, quality gates, and so on. So that means our installation and configuration is complete. We can also extend this to configure reverse proxy before the SonarQube, or we can set up the SSL certificates and all. So in this video we have seen how to set up the SonarQube server in Linux. We also have seen how to configure the database using PostgreSQL, and we have established the connectivity from Sonar web server to the database, and the Sonar server is up and running. I hope this video helps. Thanks a lot for watching.